All right, guys, welcome back. So last time we covered fundamental concepts of React Native. And in this section, we're going to actually continue our discussion on fundamental concepts and actually get into uh, talking about the next component in our list here. So last time we covered views, scroll views, and some other views for building out our mobile applications for Android, iOS using React Native. This time, we're going to focus on the text component here, which displays our styles and nested strings of text on our screens, on our mobile apps or on our web apps. Now, just a quick recap. The text component in React Native is similar to the text view in Android View, UE text view in iOS View, and it's also equivalent to the p tag or paragraph tag of HTML. So that's it for our slides. We're going to jump out and actually go back to our code examples. Again, I'm going to be using Visual Studio. And after looking at the video from last time, I noticed the text was a little bit smaller. So does this look better to you guys today? Is it clearer?
Yes, it looks really clear.
Excellent. All right. So last time we looked at things like SafeAreaView, which allows us to not have to configure our mobile app, our container, for different devices. For iOS, for instance, it actually covers or moves our view beneath the header information on a mobile app. For instance, the little notch here, our little carrier information, the time, and our battery. So using SafeAreaView, it puts our main container beneath the mobile restricted areas. However, with Android, we had to actually customize this. So for that, we switched over to our snack.expo to look at Android. Now, in Android, we couldn't use SafeAreaView. SafeAreaView is iOS specific. So what we did instead was we came down here and created a custom style using StyleSheets for created a attribute called container, and we use the padding top along with the platform, which we imported, the platform class and the status bar class, which allows us to check to see if the iOS is Android, Windows, Mac, Mac OS, iOS, or web. And in this case, we wanted to check for Android. And then we use the status bar class to get the status bar's current height. And if it's not, if this comes back as null, we'll set it as 0. If it does find a status bar, then it's going to return the status bar height and use that. So if we're Android, it's going to use the current height and it's going to drop it down beneath the title information or the status bar of our device. We also looked at things like ScrollView, which allows us to actually scroll our view containers. We also looked at views, and each of these little components here is a view. We have to put all of our context inside of our views, which we'll be looking at that today. So additional tags go inside of views, and views essentially help us control the layout of our applications. Now, I'm still not getting into the more complex layout designs of our mobile apps yet. We're still going to focus primarily today on components. And we also talked about inline versus JavaScript object styles. So we could actually do an inline style using the squiggly bracket or double squiggly bracket to actually define an inline style using the style attribute. We could actually call or use the style sheet to create a JavaScript object called styles, which we can then call using style. And we can nest these together using the array attribute inside of our squirrely brackets. So in an inline style, we had to use two squirrely brackets to define the array. However, for a styles object, we have to use the array container or the array block to define our style containers. So we have style using the style object and the container. Now, the inline style can also be added to this array. So we have our outer curly brace, we have our array, and then we have a inline style, again denoted by the curly brace for background color blue. And then we're also combining it with a styles object. So that's just a quick recap of last time. Does anyone have any questions on what we did here before we move on to today's component?
Nope.
Make this get a little bit bigger. There we go. All right, so the next topic we're going to look at is text. So in React, text or the text tag is, so text is denoted by the text tag, view here, and it has to go inside of a container view of some kind, and it's the text tag. Now, if we hover over text, um, import as text, over here. One of these actually gave me a little, maybe this one. Nope, I guess not. One of the tools I was working with actually was nice, and it gives you the definition of the tags as you work, but I might have that on another machine. So just to briefly tell you what text is. So text is a React component for displaying text on your screen. So the text supports nesting, styling, and touch handles. It also has an attribute for the number of lines. So if we want to create like a text area of text where we have multiple lines of text, we can use the attribute number of lines. So for instance, if we wanted to define a static text reference, we can uh, do something like this. So we can go up here and we can import. So if we want to use something statically, we have to import what is called use state from React. And what this state does is it now allows us to define a constant and store it into basically into static memory. Now if we use a constant and say we do a title text array, so there's our label or our basically our key to reference our title. We're going to call set or create a variable set title text. And this is going to equal use state. And we'll say hello world. Actually, since this is the title, we will just do sample app. Now you don't need to save this like I just did, but it's just a force of habit. When I write code, I save. And then we'll define another constant here, and we will call this one body text. And this one is just going to be a straight up variable. And we're going to use state. And some really long text here. Okay, so we now have a constant defined in a kind of an array map. So we have a key value pair, and we can also define a constant straight up with the constant, the variable name, and use the state. Now, what's nice about this is we can come down here, and inside of our text here, I can actually put, using the curly braces, body text. And as you can see, we've now added our constant text here, our static text, inside of our text block, or inside of our view here. Well, that's nice. That allows us to define text directly. We can also add text directly into the container. So let me clean up this view here. And let's get rid of the other views for now and just stick with the one view. And let's make this view a little bit taller. So let's say 1,000, a little too big. Let's do 500. There we go. And we'll increase the width to say 300. All right. So far, so good. Nice and clean. Let's make that a little more readable now. Let's do white. Now we have some text inside of our view using some styles and using a constant. Now we can also nest our text tags. Here, do another text. Actually, if you don't mind, I'm going to take this and move this over to Visual Code. A little easier to code over here. Need the constants. And I need that. Okay, if I save this, our apps get updated and our text is getting formatted. All right, so let's add another text block here. Okay, we now have a nested text. And let's use title text here. Let's see, so I got title text. Let's add some breakpoints. So if you want to add any special characters, you need to make sure you put them inside curly braces. And by special characters, I mean things like new line, backslash n. If we want to add two spaces between, or two line breaks between our text, we can do it like that. We can also type text directly into our tag. So we can do hello world, save. And as you can see, we can add it directly in. So this works to allow us to create static constant text that we can reuse throughout our applications. And what's nice about the constants is these can be defined at each uh, screen or each module inside of our application, or they can be defined globally throughout the application. So we can actually have static text to make buttons common throughout the application, or we can create custom components that get reused. All right, so we have inline text. Actually, let's just put that one back. Add a break in there. So cleaner. All right, so now we have inline text, we have our constant text, and we have a really long text that wraps. Now for this guy here, I want to also add the number of lines. Here we go. So when you hover over it, so this is used to truncate the text with ellipses after computing the text layout. So what would happen here is if it goes down 5 lines, so if I say equal to, actually let me say equal to 1 since we know it wrapped. So if I save this, oh, because the containers, right. So if the number of lines exceeds the container, then the text would be followed by ellipses, dot, dot, dot. Since it's not, our container is so big, the text just continues to get displayed. Something else to consider. So we have our container here, so we have our styles of our view, but we can also add styles to our text. So here we'll create a base text attribute. And let's set our font. So we can type in font and you'll see the different font attributes you can add. So we're going to start with font family. And this allows us to change the uh, font to say Times New Roman, Arial, Courier. We'll do Content for this example. Save. So you can see that our text changed. Now if I delete that real quick, delete. Oh, I guess that's the default. So let's try a different one. Let's try Courier. Yeah, it slightly changes. All right, and then next, let's change our title text and change its font size and make it 20. And also, let's change its font weight to be bold. All right, so now we need to apply these styles. So we'll come up here and go to our topmost. Um, and actually, let's wrap this whole thing into another text. Oops. I want to actually show you how the text can act as a container. So if we have an outermost text, we can actually define our base text at the parent level. And then this style will apply to all children of this text tag. So if we start here and we do style, and we say equal to styles dot base text, save. And as you can see, it has now applied Courier to all of our text. Now, if I just apply this at this level and save, oh, that guy is inside of that one. So this guy, if we apply it at that level, it only applies to that tag. So as you can see, it's nested. So all the children of the parent tag will inherit the styles of the parent. Now, with that being said, if an underlining style gets applied to a child that overrides or changes, say, for example, the font family, then that uh, attribute is going to be what is applied at that level and for any of its children. So it's kind of a cool way where you can actually define a common look and feel uh, at the beginning and then apply it to uh, custom tags. So that anytime you use your custom tag or component, it will your look and feel of your app will be the same. All right, so let's finish this up. Let's add the last style here. So let's do styles inline uh, title text. Okay, I got bolded, not quite what we wanted. So- Oh, yeah, I said I did wrong. So this guy we'll put outside of that. That's title text. Save. Now you can see that the title is bold and our text is plain old text. The reason it was updating it before was because I accidentally had put our body text inside of our uh, title tag or title text tag.